Hello, everyone, and welcome to 1v1 with Boss Rush Games. I'm your host, Celeste Roberts of Nintendo Pow Block and Another Zelda podcast. Today, I have the pleasure of interviewing Dan Murphy, a video game enthusiast and the newest contributor on Nintendo Pow Block and Boss Rush Games. Welcome, Dan.
Hey, thanks for having me, Celeste.
Thank you for taking the time to do this. I know everybody's schedules are so busy, so it means a lot that you wanted to sit down and kind of share your life with people.
Yeah, it's not every day people take an interest in you, so I'm going to take full advantage of it.
Awesome. Well, how has your week been so far?
Pretty good. This weekend, I went and saw some friends. I'm originally from the Boston area. So, I've kept a tight-knit group of friends, and we're all over the place. Usually once a year, we get together and, rent a house, and it's just the guys. So it was 8 guys. We rented a house in New Hampshire on Lake Winnipesaukee. It's beautiful up there in the fall. It's just awesome.
I'm jealous.
Yeah, so we had a good time.
And the weather stayed nice?
I mean, it was New Hampshire fall weather, so it was 65 and it's sunny.
I'm jealous.
Leaves already beginning to turn.
Leaves turn where you guys live. That's amazing to me. I'm very jealous.
I know, I'm so used to it. But then again, you have warmer weather, and I grew up in Boston, so we had 2 months of summer. 2 months above 70 degrees.
I'm jealous, though. Like, that is my dream, to go to the New England states in the fall.
Yeah, it's something you need to experience at least once.
Do you have a favorite state up there?
I mean, New Hampshire, Vermont, and Maine are 1 and 1 and 1. They're just the same thing across the board. Mountains, lakes, great skiing. So yeah, I mean, you're going to get the same experience at all of them.
Oh, they all look so beautiful. I didn't know if they had some kind of differentiating attributes to them, or
not necessarily, except Maine, that's on the ocean. But Vermont might have the tallest mountains. Like the highest peak in New England is Jay Peak. It's right on the border of Vermont and Canada. But they're all beautiful. Maybe you get the White Mountains in New Hampshire too, which are a lot of fun to hike.
Oh gosh. So you like to go hiking as much as you can, or is it kind of like once a year thing?
It's funny because I didn't really like hiking growing up, and my girlfriend, who grew up in Albuquerque, New Mexico, which also I had no idea had mountains all over New Mexico, she is all about hiking, and now we live in the DC area, so we go hiking in the Shenandoahs, and she turned me into a hiker.
That's awesome. Oh, Shenandoah. Yeah. I know that song. It's so pretty. That like American classic song, and I bet it's just gorgeous too.
It is
another pretty area.
Yeah, it's really nice down there. We usually go down in Virginia.
I'm really jealous. I cannot wait till things are back to normal and I can travel.
Yeah. It's funny because I've traveled a little bit for my job, a lot of it, I should say, just within the states. And it's so funny how it varies, like state to state to state. Our country is so different in every single aspect. I mean, going from Michigan to Louisiana to Kansas to North Carolina, they could all be different countries almost.
You bring up a really good point, because there are people from other countries in some Discord servers I'm in, and they'll ask, hey, I'd like to go to the US. Where should I go? And it's like, well, what are you interested in? Do you like, is cuisine something you want to try? Is there a particular culture you're interested in?
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, that is funny, because it's like, where do you send somebody that asks that?
Yeah. And this is, I think this is true, I guess, for anybody. going on a vacation, you get just a snapshot of a place. And if you stay in the touristy areas, like if you go to New York City and spend most of your time in Manhattan, Times Square, things like that, you're not, I don't want to say you're not really living like a New Yorker, but you're living like a certain type of New Yorker, but not the whole state.
Right.
And that, I think the best thing if people, it's now this is something that you'd have to be very lucky to fall into, like working somewhere, having the chance to be somewhere for longer than a week or two, really immerse
Right.
yourself in that culture.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I've done. So like, I've seen all of Michigan because I worked there for about 6 months.
Wow.
Yeah, and like I've even gone to like Birmingham, Alabama for a couple months and have found things that I've really liked down there. But to your point, it's like DC is a perfect example of being a tourist and not getting the same experience as a city, because DC, everybody goes, they see the monuments, they see the White House, the Capitol building, and hang out on the National Mall. But when you get into the actual city, it's such a melting pot that if you threw a dart at a map, no matter what country you land on, you can find a restaurant where they speak the language. It's just like the best restaurants, just like a very laid back bar scene, except for one crazy street. But, there's just so much more to a city like DC or New York than what is mostly advertised.
Yeah. And what would you say is your favorite place you've been? I mean, I know that's probably hard because again, they everywhere has different aspects that you might like. But is there
Yeah.
a certain place you've ever visited that you like the most?
You know, it is hard to say because, like we are saying, everything's so different. Um, and you kind of just, so I do these trips usually by myself. So I always just try to find something that's really unique and something that I like. So I haven't really disliked any place I've gone to. Um, and most of my traveling has actually been from Colorado east. So
Okay.
so the West Coast I haven't done too much of, except randomly New Mexico. Um, but I would say I think I like the food in New Mexico the best. Louisiana's up there too. I love their stuff. Um, Michigan is beautiful. It's one of the prettiest states. If you go to the Upper Peninsula, Grand Rapids is a lot of fun. Um, but I just really couldn't pick one out of any of it. And I'd go back to any place again.
So do you like traveling for work?
I did. It
Oh,
just,
it's a past tense.
yeah, it was such a great experience, but I did it for so long and I did it for in such big bulks. Um, and you spend a lot of time alone doing these things because with my particular job, I was building distribution routes for my company because they were expanding.
Mhm.
And they were really only in the bigger cities like Chicago, down in Texas and California. So they needed somebody that was young, single, could, knew the company well. So I took advantage of this. And I lived out of hotels for about 4 years doing this, which got me into gaming because I wasn't much of a gamer before and I needed things to do when I'm on my own. Um, but it was a great experience and I'm happy to have slowed way down on it. I do still travel, but not the way I used to.
Yeah, I've heard the same thing from people that it's fun when you're younger or just for a short period of time and you burn out very quickly.
Yeah, the burnout is quick. You're not sleeping in the same bed all the time. You're constantly there is definitely a certain mentality when you're not when you don't have like an actual home to go to. You know what I mean? So the burnout is there, and you know, it's it, it, it it's an experience. I guess I don't really know what else to say except it is an experience, and I'm happy I've done it, but I'm also happy it's over.
Yeah, and it's fascinating to me because I've really never had to travel for work before. Very,
Hmm.
very rarely. And the farthest I've had to travel is 40 minutes, maybe, you know. So hearing people that get to go to other states and things like that so frequently, especially whenever your company is paying for it, that is sweet. You get those per diems and everything.
Oh yeah, of course. And I mean, it it does have the stigma of being like a romantic job when you're traveling. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Because you do get to go out and you do have your hotel paid for, your food paid for, your gas, all that stuff. So, um, it's so easy to become jaded with these travel gigs, because it comes to a point where it's all you know.
Hmm. And you had never really gamed much before your travel jobs?
Well, I did. When I was younger, I had an N64. Um, I had a Sega Genesis. I grew up with the Sega Genesis. I had a Game Boy. Um, it was really like one or two games, and when you're a kid, you just play the same game over and over.
Yes,
Um, and then I think PlayStation was like my favorite because it was all RPGs, and I love reading, I love writing, and I just love stories. So RPGs are always my favorite games, and PlayStation 1 really got me into gaming. But as the RPGs started to go down, I started to fall off with gaming as well. So my last system I had before my Switch was a Wii and a PlayStation 2.
wow.
Yeah. Um, So, with the Switch being so accessible, and easy to just like play on a plane or, just hang out and bring it everywhere. I ended up buying a Switch when it came out with Breath of the Wild, and man, it's been all downhill from there.
You're very active with video games. In fact, I think so. I started using Twitter again like 2019. I'd had it in 2012, and then I dropped off of it, and then I went back to it when I started getting involved with Another Zelda podcast. And I believe that's how you and I met on Twitter, is because of Another Zelda podcast. You found us that way.
Yeah, I actually did the same thing as you. Like I was on Twitter a while ago. I don't even know when I signed up, but I was like, I don't get this.
That's
so
exactly how I
I,
felt.
so I just stopped using it. And then I actually got really into Mario Maker when it came out last year. So I started using Twitter towards that. And I did stumble upon you guys. I don't remember how or why, but that is how I met you, through Another Zelda podcast.
Yeah, and now you are with Boss Rush Games whenever you can do it. It's really funny how life works out like that.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, it is funny because I never really thought making a Twitter account would amount to anything than just trying to play other people's levels in Mario Maker.
Wow. Yeah, and you are so interactive, Dan. Like, yeah, I see you interacting with different people we both follow. Very kind. You always seem interested in what other people are doing and stuff. So you definitely have a very good positive community going on.
Yeah, yeah. With Twitter, like I feel like there's always so much negativity on a lot of things, and I never engage in it. I always like when I see somebody talking about something I like or they like, it's always just more fun for me to just go back and forth about something like that. Um, I think there's a mentality where you can meet somebody and you can bond over something you like because you can continue to do these things together and enjoy them together. But you never bond with people over things you dislike, because once you dislike something, you're never going to do it, and that's all you have. So,
Oh.
I think that's kind of always been my mentality behind interacting with people that I don't know so well.
And do you prefer Twitter out of all the social media platforms?
It depends. Because I use everything so differently. My
Hmm.
Instagram is more just like my life outside of gaming. My Twitter is strictly just gaming and a little bit of my puppy. My Facebook is just kind of collecting dust. So, all my social media accounts are for something different, you know?
Isn't it cool that you can use it for that too, and they all kind of pull you in different directions, I find?
Yeah. And I also I really do enjoy the fact that you can kind of specifically target whatever you want to do with your social media accounts, you know?
Yeah, and I'm like you with Twitter. I never thought being active on it and sharing my interests would help me meet cool people. I just didn't think about it.
Right, right.
And I mean, there's always that risk of negativity or creepers, but I guess there's that risk in real life too. You go to Walmart and there could be a creeper or somebody being negative.
Yeah. But, on Twitter, they're just words and it's easy to ignore.
Yeah, that block button's nice if you need it. Hope I haven't really had to block anybody, just some bots, like these random people that had accounts made the same month we're in. And I'm like, I don't know. You don't look real.
Yeah. I don't think I've blocked anyone yet.
Good lucky you. I hope it stays that way.
Me too. I also just don't care enough.
Yeah, that's a good point. The mute button is nice too. I'm glad that we have those options because if someone's being a little too negative or dramatic, it's like, okay, I don't need this. I just
Yeah.
want to come here and enjoy my life, enjoy other people's lives, and see what people are up to.
Right, right.
So, what are so you said RPGs are some of your favorite games, and you were on the Nintendo Switch Heads podcast not too long ago talking about Xenoblade. I know you're a big fan of Xenoblade.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the Final Fantasy games are what got me into them. Like Final Fantasy VII was my all-time favorite game. I thought the story was just so good. I even shed a tear in that one. The end of the first disc was pretty heartbreaking if you didn't know what was coming. Um, so yeah, I mean, I've I've always really liked the strategy of having customization of how you build your team and also having that within like a very in-depth story, which RPGs typically have. Well, I guess they're called JRPGs now versus like Skyrim or something. Um, but yeah, so I do play them. However, when I do play them, I play them a lot and I get very burnt out and can't play one for like another 6 months or so. So with Xenoblade, I mean, I played the hell out of that game. I must have put in, 120 hours in 2 months. And then I'm like, I can't even go near an RPG right now.
Oh gosh, it looks like a beautiful game from the
Oh,
screenshots I've
yeah,
seen.
it's so much fun. It's like that game in particular is one game where the story really compels you, and it's um you actually play the game for the story. Even Xenoblade 2 is the same way. It's just like a wonderful story, and the gameplay to me is like a added bonus.
So you were saying that you like reading and writing, and so RPGs, of course, are very text heavy. You have
Right.
to be patient. You have to like to read,
Yeah.
and so like you were saying though, they can also burn you out because I'm sure they feel a little intense at times.
Well, they are. Because you are following the story I mean, you're not watching a 2 hour movie or you're watching like a 60-hour movie. I think Xenoblade, if you run through it as fast as you can, it's like 40 hours of content. But there's so many like special things here and there to do and secrets and post game. So and so much party building. So yeah, it is pretty intense. It's you really got to focus, you know. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, with these games, I don't even like voice acting. Like I would prefer to just read text through the whole thing. So when people are like, "Oh, there's no voice acting," I'm like, finally.
You find it slows it down a little bit?
It slows it down and it kind of leaves. I like having a little more to the imagination. You know what
Hmm.
I mean? Like when I played Final Fantasy VII, I like to imagine how, like the graphics are terrible in that game, and it's, it's all text on screen. So it's like you can kind of more imagine like how the characters are actually sounding and interacting with each other and what their, you know, um, mannerisms are like. But I think I'm very much in the minority there.
I can see that though. It's kind of like whenever you're reading a book and then you see the movie and you might have some disappointments that it
Oh yeah, for
wasn't
sure.
portrayed exactly how you saw it in your mind.
Yeah, I think the only like book to movie where I felt like it was very spot on was Lord of the Rings.
Really?
Yeah, I thought they did really not so much The Hobbit. The Hobbit was a little different for me. I felt like the Lord of the Rings was just like everything I read was like spot on.
Wow. And they were able to condense all of that into just 3-hour movies
Yeah, they were, which is crazy.
with another language and everything. So, is that your favorite genre to read? Fantasy?
No, believe it or not, I haven't read a fiction book in years. Um, I've like right now, I'm kind of just going through a phase of like reading all nonfiction. Um, before I should put it this way, I go through phases. I went through a big phase of reading fantasy. I went through a phase after that of reading epic poetry,
Hmm.
um, like Homer and stuff like that. And then I went through a big phase of beat writing. Um, so
Oh,
yeah,
that's
like
cool.
that was actually like I think that was my favorite phase of reading. Like I read so much Kerouac. Allen Ginsberg poems are really interesting, and just like these people's lives fascinated me because it was just so free spirited.
Yeah,
you know?
I think you mentioned that on the first Pow Block episode you were on. I want to say we were talking about on the road and how I
Yeah,
think
on
we
the
did.
road. Yeah, on the road. I don't know if we talked about it on the podcast or just like sidebarring, but on the road they released his original script of On the Road. So it's like everything he did on a typewriter. So there's no paragraphs, there's no page breaks, there's no chapters, nothing.
Wow.
It's literally just a scroll, and it's a book that's probably 380 pages. Um, but I mean, that's a book I used to just like sit back and I would like take it in, and um, I really felt like I was part of what I was reading. And it was just, yeah, beat writing to me was a different experience. Just the post World War II, people trying to find themselves, people who had nothing to do but had nothing to lose.
Yeah, you might be a fan of Kurt Vonnegut, his stuff.
I've heard he has really cool stuff, but I haven't read anything yet.
I think you would like him. His work is relevant, I think, at any point in time. And he served in World War II. And if you ever get to come back to New Orleans again, you should go to the World War II Museum. They have some of his artifacts
Oh,
there.
very cool.
Yeah,
Very
yeah.
cool. Do you know
He
where the World War One museum is?
No, where is it?
It's in Kansas City.
Missouri?
Yeah, of
Is
all places, Kansas City.
Well, thank you for answering that question because the other day I was like, huh, where's the World War One museum? So did something significant happen there that's the location?
I can't remember. I did go though, but I couldn't remember. if like there was something specific to it, and how it ended up there. But anyway, carry on with what you were saying about.
No, that's it. You know what's really sad? It's like I guess because World War II is more recent, but World War One, I believe that's the one that was called the War to End All Wars. I
Mhm.
believe that was its other name, but we don't. Maybe I'm just not hanging out with the right people or looking in the right places online. I just feel like World War II is just so much more in media and just everywhere. I don't know. What do you think?
No, I agree with you like 110%. I feel like I learned so much about World War II and in school and everything. And I knew nothing about World War One. And during my travels, I was working in Kansas City. So I ended up going to the World War One museum. And I just like, I was blown away because I recognized when I was there that I didn't know anything about this war.
Hmm.
So when I mean, I went by myself at 10 in the morning and I didn't leave till 6 p.m. And
Oh, you
I,
got your money's worth for sure. That's awesome.
yeah, all $10 worth. But I walked out of there with like 4 books and I just like, I read so much and learned so much about World War One. So now I'm like a dumpster of information with the war. But before, self-teaching myself, I knew nothing about it.
So you must be familiar with All Quiet on the Western Front.
Yes.
Hmm. I remember watching that in a world history class, and I think it's based off a novel.
Is it? I
So
mean, I've, I don't remember it. It's been so long.
I know, like it's been probably 15 or more years since I've watched it.
Yeah,
And
same.
I don't know if you've read this poem before, but I have an English degree, so I had to read a lot of poetry, lots of different literature, and I took a modern poetry class. And there's a poem, it's good if you just remember it decades later. I can't remember the poet's name, forgive me, but it's called Dulce et Decorum Est. Did you ever read that one about a soldier's experience in World War One?
No.
Oh, I'm gonna send it to you, Dan, because it is one of the most powerful war poems I think I've ever read in my life.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, and you also have to think that these people were children when they were sent off to go fight.
Oh, yeah. I mean, yeah, it's crazy to think about that now, too. I also read a book recently. Have you ever heard of a book called A Long Way Gone?
That sounds really familiar. Is it about war?
It's about the Diamond War in Sierra Leone.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and it's written by a man who is a child soldier in that war, and he's now a refugee living in America. Um, but like to think about kids so young, and I mean the book was very dark. Like I had
Hmm.
nightmares going to sleep reading some of this because
Oh,
I mean
wow.
it's all true, and we're talking 20 years ago. This isn't, where um, we were barbarians. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
But it was like it's just crazy to think about people sending young people into this violence. Um, so yeah, that was a heavy one. I would recommend it if you have if you want to know what happens.
I, I know. I'm trying to get. I mean, I've read uncomfortable literature. I've read Lolita. I've read different things like that deal with heavy topics. But I think it's even harder when this is reality. This happened. This happened while in your lifetime, while you were going to school, enjoying your friends. Someone
Right.
else was dealing with absolute horror.
Yeah, and I think that one really struck a nerve with me too because he's probably 2 years older than me. So I'm like thinking about us being the same age, having to go through that. I'm like, man, I was sitting there playing Tetris.
Hmm.
Like it's really a slap of reality when you read something that heavy, you know?
Yeah, you bring up really good points. Sometimes I think about all of these people who have so many opportunities, like they're geniuses, they're scientists, they're Nobel Prize winners. And sometimes I find myself wondering if someone, let's say there's someone else in America or another country, what if they were given those same opportunities, but because maybe they have a bad home life, they're impoverished, they don't have access to good schools, they don't have someone encouraging them to pursue these things. So I guess I don't know if you ever think about that. Like, are there other people in the world who could be doing so much more if they just had the right tools?
Yeah. And I do, but it's such a downward spiral because that's a thought that just never ends. You know, it's like
I know.
you think of so many different situations, and you even think about like how each area came to be, and you know who ended up there.
Yeah,
You know, so that's very existential.
I know. And I didn't mean to make it so dark. It's just lit, it. But literature and even video games can really, art in general, just it really makes you think. And I think that's what it's supposed to do. It's supposed to take you out of your comfort zone.
Yeah, exactly. And like I'm okay with making myself uncomfortable and with that kind of literature and stuff. You know, as long as I feel like I've gotten something out of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And it's funny that we're interviewing right now because I think it's either this week or next week is Banned Books Week.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I don't know if you're familiar with that
No, what is it?
notion. It's a celebration of books that have been controversial or banned either in schools or taken off library shelves because people had problems with them. And
Oh,
it's supposed to encourage non-censorship, that again, we need to read things that make us uncomfortable. Even if you don't agree with the content you're reading, you need to expose your mind and ask yourself, why don't I agree with this? Or why is this wrong? What is the author's intent?
right, right. Um, and that's something I could get behind. I'm very anti-censorship. So I think
Yeah.
everybody should be allowed to have a voice, and I think everybody should be mature enough to handle somebody else's voice, even if they disagree with it.
Yeah, and I think it helps people become more civil because we were talking about the fun parts of social media, but sometimes I find myself quick to anger over
Mhm.
stupid stuff. And it's like, I don't know this person's intent. I don't know this person's life story. I can't get mad over a few pieces of text.
Exactly. You know, it's 8 words that piss people off on Twitter. So, you know, I
Yeah.
think I yeah, like I said, it's something I can get behind because I feel like people should let things go.
Yeah. And if you stay your whole life in your one little corner, I'm not saying traveling does cost money and it is a privilege to be able to travel, but books are a way that you can travel without ever leaving your house.
Right. And reading a banned book would make you think outside the box a little bit.
Yeah, and there Winnie the Pooh is actually on that list.
Really?
Yes, it
Oh,
is, or it has been banned in China for
oh, yeah, yeah.
personifying animals, giving
Oh
them
my God.
anthropomorphic ability.
Really? That is
Yes,
funny.
I'm going to send you the list of banned books and the reasons why they have been or are banned in certain places. And I just be ready to be very amused about some of the reasons.
Okay, great. I'm excited.
Well, you like to read, you like to play video games, you like to travel and kick back. So, what about, you said you like to write and you had expressed interest in writing some stuff for Boss Rush Games whenever you can. So, what do you like to write?
It depends whenever I get motivation. You know, I went to school because I wanted to be a sports writer. You know, I played baseball and football in high school. I played a little bit of baseball in college. So sports were really my passion. So I really, really wanted to write for you know a local newspaper or something, or even a big picture thing. So I've definitely written a lot more in the sports category. Um, and my girlfriend travels internationally, so like now I kind of turned into like writing her these long emails about the places she goes, and like I study these things. um, and then I was kind of I had talked to you a little bit about starting my own blog. um, and I'm kind of just all over the place. I'm like, I'll just sit there and think of something that I can't talk to anybody else about, so I'm going to talk to my to my pen and paper. Um, like one thing I've written was talking about the character development of Andy from The Office, and then the
Oh
next
my God.
then the
What a
next one
reason.
is like, yeah, then the next one is like writing about Breath of the Wild. um, so I don't have specific topics. It's just if I have nobody to talk to about it, I'm gonna write it down. Because I've never, I haven't ever done anything professionally with writing. And I've never really worked for a website or anything like that, so I've never had to write. um, so it's really just a matter of motivation.
It's really awesome that you love writing so much, though, because so many people despise writing.
Yeah, I feel like it's kind of a niche hobby these days, especially with reading too. Um, I have a bookshelf in my place, and my friends come over and they're like, "Wow, look at all these books." Like, "Wow, do you guys read all these?" We're like, "Yeah."
Yeah, that's what they're there for. So, do you like to write like poetry or fiction, or like are those kind of like categories you would say?
I was just talking about this, which is funny. No, poetry is something I've always tried to get into, and I've never got into reading or writing. Um, as far as writing like a book, um, I do eventually want to do that because I have a few ideas, um, but I'm just not ready for it. So everything I've written is kind of just along the lines of a blog.
That could count. That could be a way, like you were talking about starting your own blog, that could be a way that you get all of it out. And before you know it, you might have a novel on
Yeah,
your hands.
exactly. Um, and during quarantine, when it first really struck heavy and everybody was in, I started learning how to do C sharp and Unity, which is basically how you can build video games. So
Oh.
I've always kind of had this little script I wanted to write for like a mini RPG. So, that was also scratching my writing itch as well.
Oh my gosh, that's
Yeah.
awesome. So that's a type of programming language?
So Unity is C sharp is the script you write for the game. Unity is the program you build it on. Um,
Um,
so like, I mean, uh, a lot of very popular games have been built on Unity. Like Hollow Knight is one of them. That's Unity. Um, I think Celeste is one. Kunai. So a lot of these indie developers use Unity as um, their gaming.
oh, well, please don't give up on your dreams. We want to see that it come to fruition and cheer you on and talk to you about your game that comes out. That would be awesome.
Oh yeah, I mean it's just kind of a hobby. I'm not artistic by any means, so if it does come down to the point where I think I have a good product, I might have someone work with me on the artwork and everything. Um, so I learned that, and I've been working with Xcode to do apps as well. So I'm kind of
Oh,
just doing these as hobbies right now, but if anything ever comes up, it'll it'll be fun.
is that something you'd like to go into a career path with, you think?
I don't know. Um, I don't know what's next for me in a career path, but doing all these things that I really enjoy outside of work, um, something's really going to catch my attention and steer me towards that.
Yeah. And you brought up that quarantine was kind of the impetus for these things, right?
Right.
So I think I kind of wonder a little bit how many people are experiencing that. Is this the silver lining to 2020?
Yeah, yeah. I feel like it. I feel like so many people went in so many different directions with it. I mean, some people learned how to cook. I feel like baking bread turned into kind of a weird popular thing during quarantine. So everybody
People had a
was,
lot of time to wait for
yeah,
that dough to rise.
that's probably it. Yeah, and everybody played Animal Crossing during quarantine. I mean, I was spending hours a day on that. Um, but yeah, I think because my travel came to a screeching halt and I didn't have much to do remotely, I think this was kind of a nice thing. And, it was nice to use my brain in a different way because I feel like I've kind of just been in the same routine of doing my job, playing the same games, just reading a book. Um, and I felt I felt a little more enthusiastic finally when I tried something new, and I felt like my brain kind of revitalized itself. Because like even I'm even doing crosswords and feel like I'm going through the motions now, even though my brain's working doing that.
It's like the monotony after a while.
Right, right.
That's awesome. And you never know what kind of ideas these new hobbies will ignite.
Yeah, exactly. And it's been it's really been fun learning how to write with C sharp. Um, it just feels so satisfying when you actually know what you're doing because everything is you're learning a new language.
So is this something that people can find, like they just browse the web and they can start practicing with it?
I paid for a class,
Okay.
so you can go and just download Unity for free. um, it's a free program, and there's just like online classes all over the place that are going to teach you C sharp. And I even have the C sharp for dummies book too, so that can be helpful as well.
Oh, well, thank you. Because there might be some listeners who are like, oh, Hollow Knight. I want to learn how to do these things.
Yeah, and it's funny too because playing some of these indie games now, I play them and I'm like, holy crap, these controls are tight. How'd they do that? You know what I mean? So I have like kind of a little more of an appreciation for these indie games, which I already really loved anyway.
Mhm.
But it's you see things a little differently when you try to do it on your own and realize it is freaking hard.
Does it give you a newfound appreciation for everything developers have to do?
Yeah, for sure. Um, I think we talked about this on the Pow Block podcast. The movie Indie Game, where they followed the developers for this indie game called Fez. This game came out in 2012, maybe. The movie came out in 2012. Um, and that particular movie, I think it's on Netflix and Amazon now if you want to check it out. But that movie, I was blown away by how much pressure and how difficult it is to actually go through with this. And, you know, I think since I've watched that movie 8 or 9 years ago, I've had such an appreciation for anybody who does anything creative, really. Um, and you'll never hear me flat out say a game sucks.
Oh, that's
Just
nice. That's really
because
nice of you.
I don't know. I just like I just seeing what somebody goes through and people put their blood, sweat, and tears into it. It's hard to really judge something that I personally can never do. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's a really good outlook. It's very mature because if I try a game and I don't care for it, I'm not angry. I'm just like, oh, this just isn't for me. Like certain movie genres, I might not be as interested in that, but that doesn't make this any less valid.
Exactly. You know what I mean? Like there's going to be somebody out there that appreciates that.
Yeah, I don't think I could ever write reviews for video games. I mean, maybe like if I'm like you where I play a game and I'm moved to write some kind of reflection on it or it reminded me of something, but as far as the technical aspects and I don't know. I don't know. That's a lot of power that I don't feel like I'm prepared to wield.
Yeah, exactly. It would be like if me, you, and Ed had a video game review website, it would just be tens across the board.
Yes, like, oh, I know what they did. Like, and Ed is on. Like, he'll point out things, but he does it in a very polite way. Like, it's not hateful,
Yeah, exactly.
And I appreciate that. It's like the Olympics, and you like sports, so you played sports, so you know what it's like to train and practice and give all this time and energy, and then yeah, gosh, whenever I watch the Olympics and like a gymnast is performing and they mess up, like my heart sinks. I don't care if it's another country. I don't care if it's not America I'm watching. Just I feel so bad for that person.
I am the same way because it's like 4 years of grueling training and that's their one chance. It's so heartbreaking when something goes wrong like that.
Yeah. Like I don't care that we're competing against you, you poor thing. I'm so sad for you right now cuz
I know the
oh,
Olympics are the one game where I'll root for everybody.
yeah. And let's see, I think they were moved to next year, right? The Tokyo Olympics. That was supposed
Yeah.
to happen this year.
Yeah, and I wonder how that goes with the training too, because you're on such a specific regimen for, building up that to that fourth year. Um,
Mhm.
so it's like these athletes were in their getting to their peak performance in February and March, getting ready for July, and then do they maintain it for another year? Do they come back? And I think that's got to be really difficult to have that extra year just thrown in. So it'll be interesting to see how everybody performs.
Now, do you prefer winter or summer Olympics, or you like both?
To watch
Mhm.
Winter Olympics. Oh
Is
yeah.
there a reason why, like certain sports?
No, I just they're just more fun to watch for me. You know, for Summer Olympics, I think really I only like watching. I think the gymnastics are very impressive, and I don't know, nothing really ever sticks out. But like Winter Olympics, I can put on and watch anything, even the curling. Everything like the snowboarding is so cool. The bobsledding, they go so fast. The luge, like it's crazy.
I know, and it just blows my mind how flawless they make it look. Like especially ice skating.
Yeah, and Olympic hockey, nothing beats that.
Is that more entertaining compared to like I don't want to say like a National Hockey League game?
Um, yeah, because it's just more on the line and less games. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? NHL has 82 games in a year, so if you put on the 46th game versus any, medal game, I'm going to choose the Olympic hockey, and they have a bigger rink too, so that's also a little more interesting. But yeah, I mean, they're both great to me, though.
Do you have a favorite hockey team?
Uh, the Washington Capitals.
Washington Capitals. Oh,
Yeah,
I don't know anything about hockey. So I'm familiar with I think it's the Penguins. I think there's a team called the Penguins.
yeah, they're from Pittsburgh.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
And who are some of your other favorite sports teams?
Um, so when it comes to baseball, I like the Red Sox and the Nationals. Um, Football, I am a New England Patriots and Detroit Lions fan. In
Wow.
NBA, yeah, I don't know what it is about the Lions. I've loved them since I was a kid. I think they've won one playoff game since I've been alive. And, even to this day, they're still breaking my heart. And I don't know why I still love that team.
Because you like Michigan.
Maybe, I don't know. It's been something since I was a kid because I loved Barry Sanders, who is
Okay.
like, an all-time great. And then for basketball, I like the Celtics, the Boston Celtics.
Oh, nice. Do you think that sports are going to be back to normal next year? Or at least you hope so, like everybody else.
I hope so. Who knows where this world is going to be? I'm kind of done trying to predict it because at this point, it's always just a letdown.
You're right. I thought that everything would be back to normal months ago.
Yeah, I did too. So it's sad. It's still weird watching a baseball game and having nobody in the stands.
Yeah, but
You know?
they can imitate the crowds, right? Like they have some kind of
Yeah,
recording in the background.
yeah, and like for me as somebody who played sports, I don't. I think it's tough for them to like bring the intensity to the game. Like even when you're in high school, having zero fans versus like seven used to make a world of difference to me.
Hmm.
So, the NBA is in the semifinals right now. And I'm like, how do you get excited for this game with no crowd? So it must be tough. And it doesn't seem like some of these games have the intensity that they once would.
I know. Yeah, it's always nice to have people cheering you on for
Yeah.
something you've worked so hard for. And so you played baseball and football in high school, right? What
Yeah.
positions were you in those?
Baseball, I was a pitcher, and I went on to play a little bit in college. And I hurt my arm, so I stopped playing.
Oh,
Football, I just played strong safety, which is basically you're on defense and you hang out in the back, and you're the last option for everything.
I'm sure you had a lot of great memories with those.
Yeah, I mean, I loved the position, but it's one of those that's just not fully involved as much as others in the game.
There's something really exciting about like high school sports, I think, because I was in band in high school, and it's just, I don't know, everything just seems so fun at that time.
Yeah, yeah. Is high school football really popular down where you are?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I don't really keep up with it, but like there are a lot of rivalries among different schools and
Yeah. Do they
things
fill
like
out
that.
fill out stands for the
They can,
games?
yeah, they can.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah, I went to one of the only two Catholic high schools in our area, and those two were like, if whenever they played, it was a big deal. Like those stands were full because they were the big rivals. And even though I didn't care about football, I actually found myself getting excited about it.
That's awesome. Yeah. You didn't fill up seats in where I grew up because, in October it's 40 degrees. So
That
nobody wants
is
to sit there and
true.
watch high school games. And
I didn't think about that.
yeah, so like, I feel like the South is so popular because everybody can still go.
You bring up a really awesome point, Dan. I didn't think about the weather affecting attendance. There, are marching band competitions big in Boston?
Not really.
No. I
No.
I think that's more of a regional thing because like they're really popular down here. So I was wondering if you ever heard of any rumblings of any over there.
I don't know, to be honest. I mean, I know my school wasn't really into it. So I don't really know much outside of like my region of schools.
Hmm.
But yeah, I don't think marching band was too popular. Um, really, the biggest sports where I was hockey and baseball
That's so
and
fun.
football. I mean, everybody loves football, but football was like the same wavelength as hockey or baseball, which is pretty unique compared to like other places where football is just king and everything else is secondary.
Is college football big where you are?
Not at all.
Really?
Yeah, not we have Boston College, and nobody really cares about them. Um, Massachusetts is strictly like professional sports. Obviously, I can't speak for everybody, but like when I was working in Michigan, the whole state shut down for Saturdays to watch Michigan State and Michigan. Whereas, in Massachusetts, people are like, oh, I don't even know what the score is.
That is so interesting because I'm sure your relatives down here can tell you, like during, I'm not a big football watcher, but a lot of people down here like LSU,
Yeah.
and they like when it's football season, like people will schedule their weddings around football games.
I've heard that. And I mean, LSU has been one of the top teams in the nation for the last 10 years. So, you always see them on TV.
Yeah, and in Alabama,
Yeah.
another big one. I don't know if I don't know what it is about the different regions because Michigan is northern and we're southern, yet Michigan's able to also deal with the same hype.
Yeah. I mean, it's all like the college rivalries and the conferences kind of make sense. Michigan and Ohio State, they're bitter rivals. And then it's like you got Wisconsin and Minnesota. So the Big Ten, it's more of the Midwest thing too. Like I feel like college football isn't that big up and down the coast until you get down to Georgia. Because aside from that, once you get more and more north, it's like, there's not really any huge team for the Carolinas. And then keep going further north, and it's like the teams just start falling off. You don't even know who's where anymore. But basketball is much bigger for college sports around there.
That makes a lot of sense. You can play it indoors whenever it's
There we go.
cold. So that's a great point. I hadn't even thought about the weather affecting that.
I mean, where I went to school, we love college hockey because our team always makes the Frozen Four.
The Frozen Four, is that like the top 4 teams?
Yeah, the Final Four of hockey.
Frozen Four. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I would love to go to a hockey game. I've never been to one.
Yeah, I'm sure you don't have one close by you down there.
There used to be one in Lafayette. They were called the Ice Gators. But yeah, everything has to be with alligators down. They're oh my God. I don't understand why, but okay. But what are some other hobbies that you have? Is there anything we didn't cover? So like you like watching sports, you like reading, writing, playing video games, you're working on with the Unity, with that engine, with C Drive, and is there anything else you like to do?
Kind of whatever comes to me. I mean, I'm one person who's open to anything. I kind of got into biking in the last 2 years, so we did a big bike ride in July this year, 45 miles.
What?
Yeah, it was fun. And I just moved out of DC to Annapolis, where it's kind of a beach city. So we've been playing a lot of beach volleyball. That's been a blast. But not really. No, I mean, I think we got it all covered. I'm kind of I feel like every year I get older, I mellow out a little bit. So now I'm kind of just happy hanging out with my dog in the yard.
Kind of slow down a little bit.
Yeah, just kind of doing things that I enjoy and kind of becoming more and more of a homebody.
I know what you mean. There's some peacefulness just being at your house around what you love.
Yeah, for sure.
So what are some of your favorite indie games you'd like to share with people? Because you mentioned those, and I'm like, oh, we can't let you go away without talking about indie games.
Man, indie games are a blast. I think most recently I played one called Evergate. And I kind of feel bad for that game because it came out the wrong time, and character design should have just been a little different because I feel like people saw it and just kind of wrote it off as like an Ori ripoff. Um,
Oh.
you know, like when you go to the grocery store and you see those knockoff cereal boxes. I feel like Evergate kind of got that treatment, but it was such like a cool, unique game with such a great soundtrack. Track. Um, you know, a short hike is a really cute game. I think you played that, right?
Yeah, I finished it.
Yeah,
After you told me about it, I was like, "Oh my god!" Because it was on the Indie Showcase, and you talked with us on that episode, and it's so cute. You finished it too, right?
I did. Yeah. Um,
Oh, didn't it just make your heart melt a little bit?
it really, I know, for like a 5 hour game of a little bird, like, you know, um, it was like, wow, that was surprisingly emotional.
Yeah, and
um,
I wasn't expecting that phone call. That wasn't. I thought it was something else.
so if anybody's listening to this, play a short hike so you can talk to us about it.
Yes, please. I want to talk about a short hike. It really moved me, and and you can fish in it. I know that's a big thing for a lot of people. A fishing mini game.
You know, I don't like fishing mini games. I really,
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. When it was in Paper Mario, I was like, ah, oh, come on.
You think it was because it wasn't relaxing, like it wasn't meant to, it was part of the quest rather than like a
I don't know. I don't know what it
side
is. I
thing.
think the only game I'm fully on board with the fishing is Animal Crossing.
Yeah, they did really well in that game.
I think they did everything really well in that game. It was my first Animal Crossing experience, so I can't
Oh, really?
really. Yeah, but I had so much fun with that game. I thought just everything was so well done.
And they
Um,
still have other holidays coming up for it.
yeah, I think the Halloween holiday might kind of bring me back in because I haven't played too much. I kind of dove back in a little bit with the diving.
Hmm.
Um,
Nice pun, right?
yeah, didn't mean to do that. But yeah, maybe I'll start playing again when the Halloween and Christmas stuff come out. I feel like they have some big updates coming that they haven't told us about yet.
Yeah, and don't feel bad. Like this is how it is for every Animal Crossing game I've played, where I played obsessively, put it down for a while, pick it back up, played obsessively, put it back down. Halloween's really cute, and I noticed there are some little costume like things in the Able Sisters store right now.
Oh, really?
They have a little skeleton outfit, so I'm like, oh, they're preparing me.
But you know, at the same time, that was a game that you're not supposed to play like 4 hours a day. And during the quarantine, it's like, you know, I would go and catch the morning bugs and then I would come up with this cool project that I want to do. I'm like, I'm going to build, you know, this, and this. And those projects would take days because I'm marking down the floors and like meticulously placing everything everywhere.
Well, your
Um,
island is gorgeous.
thank you.
I'm like, oh, he cares a lot because this is amazing. Because this is so much time.
I even drew like the pixel roads for the neighborhood where the animals live. Like, yeah, we
Yeah,
I had a lot of fun with that. I
it's
took a lot of pride in my island.
it looks so good, and I think I don't know. It was nice seeing people get excited about something.
Yeah, and the other thing is too is like um with the online capabilities, like you know, I was on a Discord and like chatting with other friends, so we're all selling turnips for like millions of dollars bells a week. So, you know, with all this just like the egregious playtime and bells that I had, I feel like I played 2 years worth of Animal Crossing in 3 months. And that's kind of like not how the game was supposed to be played.
That's okay though. It's your game. You
Yeah,
make
of
it
course.
however you want it to be. So in the original one, you had four people who could live in there again, and whoever finished paying off their debt first would get a gold statue, and then the second person would get a silver statue, and the third person would get a bronze statue. Fourth person
Oh,
doesn't get
cool.
anything. I don't think anyway. But yeah, that's like we've talked about before, I like seeing people get happy about things because life has enough negativity. So even if somebody's excited about something I don't know a lot about, it just makes me happy seeing other people happy.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And especially at a time where people were very anxious and scared, and um, we didn't know, a lot of people didn't know what was happening with their jobs or their lives or something. And this was just like a really nice relief. It came out at the perfect time.
Yeah, I know they didn't intend that, but
Yeah.
it was ideal. I can't picture a better time that for it to come out.
Yeah, I mean, it's a game where literally nothing can go wrong except getting stung by wasps.
Yeah, that's about the only problem. Or you buy a fake art piece from Red.
Oh yeah, he's a jerk.
I go online and I like try to see what the differences are.
And they're very like very small differences versus like the regular one.
Yeah, like you either have to be an art history major or I don't know. You have to have a very discerning eye because I have to go online and look up. Okay, what does the fake one look like for the Mona Lisa? What does the real
Yeah.
one look like? But
Um,
it's crazy.
the statues, if you get a fake one and put it in your house and then turn the lights off, I think their eyes glow or something glows on them.
Oh wait, all any of the statues?
Yeah,
Oh,
I'm pretty
oh,
sure it's most of them.
oh! I think I read this on Reddit, like the Animal Crossing subreddit, where they were saying they have like some haunted statue.
Yeah, and I think there's some paintings too.
Now I might have to go pick up Animal Crossing again and see this. That's really cool. There was something on the, I don't know if it's happened on these games because I haven't played at like 3 or 4 a.m., but there was the TV at certain times would have like this alien appear at like
Oh,
3 a.m. It was really creepy.
that's funny. Yeah, I haven't played that late yet.
No, I'm usually asleep. I can't hang at that time anymore. Well,
No, if I am awake at that hour, I'm not in the right mindset to play Animal Crossing.
no, it's like the last thing on my mind. Well, you're very prolific with Mario Maker
Oh,
as
I
well,
love
right?
Mario Maker. That's the game that just won't die for me.
It's endless, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's such a cool community, and it's so cool to see like different levels and how creative they can be with them. I mean, they took they do music levels where you can find any song you want, and it's different characters jumping on one of the music note blocks. Like it's just crazy how people have figured out things to do with these games. And my big thing right now is building Zelda or Link levels because there's a Link power up. So I kind of make them. I make like Zelda dungeons with like a little map on the top right for my levels. So I've had a blast doing that. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. That has to take up
Yeah,
a lot of time.
it does. And I'm so anal about it being perfect that, it takes me a month to upload a level. But I also just play so many levels in between. Um, every level's different and there's 2 million up there. So um, I love platforming games and that is just endless platforming.
That's a good point. That is endless platforming. Oh man, it's a dream come true for platformer lovers.
Yeah, for sure.
Now, do you have a favorite Mario game besides Mario Maker? Is there another one that you really like?
Probably, I mean, I love the Galaxy games. Um, I haven't played it yet on 3D All Stars. I've haven't had time since it came out, so I've barely touched it. Um, I mean, I played so much Mario 64 growing up. When we were in college, we had an old N64, and we used to play Super Smash Brothers and Mario 64 all the time.
Good games.
Um, yeah, so I've played Mario 64 to death. Um, but fundamentally, I think the best one is Odyssey. Um, it's so smooth, it's so clean. The levels are huge. I can't find any flaws with it, really.
It looks so beautiful. I haven't played it yet. We own it. I just have not played it yet.
Oh, you got to play it.
I
What are you
know.
waiting for?
I was playing Breath of the Wild when it came out, so, in which that took my whole heart when that came out.
Oh yeah, for sure. You must be excited for Age of Calamity.
I am. I really am. The most exciting part is that it's a prequel, and I think that's a genius move to make it a Hyrule Warriors game since it is about a battle.
Yeah, for sure. It just seems so fitting, and I'm excited to use the champions and have my heart broken because we all know what happens there. Um, but yeah, I think it's just going to be so cool. I'm so excited to like actually experience the story of what happens before the first Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, it's. I felt like the king was so mean or very harsh with Zelda, and I can understand why. It's just, I think it's going to be really cool to see how that develops and plays out. And I don't know if they're going to do this because Link is really just a connection between the player and the game, but I would love to see Link's backstory with that particular Zelda. Like, what inspired him to become a knight? Are his parents involved? Does he have a sibling?
Hmm. Yeah, so who knows what we'll see, but I'm very excited for this game.
I am too, and I'm really excited for Breath of the Wild 2, the sequel.
Yeah, I can't. I'm not getting myself excited for it because it's just I feel like it's going to be so far away. Um,
Yeah,
but man, I cannot wait for that game. And Zelda has to be a playable character, right?
I hope so. I
Like,
would love to play as Zelda personally.
I mean, Link and Zelda are walking off at the end of Breath of the Wild. What are they going to do?
Is she gonna get kidnapped?
Yeah, they can't do that. She has to be a playable character, and I hope she is.
I would like to see that. I mean, they did it with Princess Peach,
Yeah.
and I think it was a DS or 3DS. I think it was DS.
Well, they did it in Mario too.
Oh, with Paper Mario, with the other Paper Mario's where you play as Peach for a little bit.
No, Mario, like the
Oh, Mario
very rich
2. Yeah.
Mario 2.
Oh, you don't mean TOO. You mean the number two.
Oh,
I was thinking, like, I was going for like which Mario game? Duh, Celeste, where you can play as Toad, Luigi, Mario, or Princess Toadstool.
yeah. I think you could play as her in 3D World as well. I haven't played it because I skipped the Wii U.
I think you can. I have that one, but it's been a while since I've played it. It's really fun. It can make you angry at your friends for sure. But I think they're porting that to the Switch, right?
Yes, they are in February, so I'm very excited.
You're gonna love it. Now, who's your favorite character in the Mario universe?
Um, I think I've always liked the Toad characters. They've
They're
always
so
just been
funny.
funny to me. And I think one thing Nintendo does so well is how any game of theirs can attract an older generation and a younger generation. Um, and like I think a good example of that is like Captain Toad. You know
Hmm.
what I mean? It's so adorable, it's sickening. So, like with the colors and the characters and everything, that's obviously going to attract a younger crowd. But even as an adult playing it, it's actually really fun to 100% that game, and it's not easy. You know what I mean? Um, in the Mario verse, yeah, I think I kind of just appreciate those characters, and I've always loved Yoshi too.
They're so cute. They're so
Yeah.
precious. Like I get a little emotional when I think about like my sisters and I having like the stuffed animals of games that we enjoy and the characters and that those were our comforts and things like that and oh, they're so cute. Toad, his voice. That's my favorite thing.
Yeah, and like I use in Mario Maker, I use Toadette all the time. So
Oh, she's so cute.
yeah, it's just like she makes those like funny Toadette noises jumping around everywhere. But yeah, my Twitter profile picture is her in Breath of the Wild, and I thought it was the funniest thing I've ever seen.
But it's adorable too.
It was, I thought it was just so funny. I was like, who the hell did this? This is
So
hilarious.
random.
It's so random.
She's so cute too. I'm glad that she exists.
Yeah, they. I think the Mario franchise does a good job of making their characters kind of cute.
Now, do you have the Origami King, Paper Mario?
I do. I have been slogging through that game. I'm on the green streamer right now,
Okay.
so
Uh,
I'm getting there. I'm getting to the end. But it's just the direction of that game. I feel like they wanted to make it an RPG, but they also wanted to make it like action RPG kind of. You know what I mean?
mhm.
And the battles felt tedious to me. Um,
They
you
do.
know, I enjoyed the puzzle aspect, but really not having a reward aside from coins, just what's the point, you know?
Hmm.
And just trying to run away from battles kind of got frustrating. Um,
Yeah.
and it's so it took away a lot for me in the game, but man, the writing is excellent.
Is this your
I
first
think
Paper Mario?
no, no, no. I played the first three. I played 64, Thousand Year Door, and Super Paper Mario.
Yeah. Oh, so you haven't played Color Splash?
I have not played Color Splash.
Oh,
But yeah, I mean, the writing has always been the biggest aspect of the Paper Mario games. And I really loved the first three, but this one it's just not been for me.
I
But
know what you mean.
I do want to see what happens with the story, so I am going to finish it.
Yeah, it's the writing is what kept me going, like just the beauty of the levels. I mean, I really appreciate that they took the time to make freaking origami
Yeah,
and watching those intricate folds whenever you turn into the voluminals. That's outstanding.
yeah, you're right. I mean, that's also another thing. Like, I love the vibrant world of it. Like, the art style was amazing. And yeah, the writing's great. It's really funny. I love the character Olivia. I think I think they've really developed her character well. So you know, she's kind of keeping me in too.
It's worth finishing. I'm not gonna lie. I'm someone who, if I get frustrated, I just look up the solution because I'm more interested in the story. And
Yeah,
like, I know that sounds like a cop out.
I do enjoy the boss fights though. Um, you like that's the thing. The battle system would have been so fun if you gave me a reason to battle. Like
Hmm.
that's all it could take.
The positive
Um,
reinforcement.
yeah, exactly. Because like it's such a cool concept, and like I had fun doing the puzzles, but then I got to a point where I was like, um,
Yeah. It
you know,
was tedious.
yeah. And then the boss battles ended up being a blast. I really enjoyed those.
Oh yeah, that is creative. All the different office supplies.
Yes,
God,
and the volumentals as well. Like those are fun too.
they're so cute, and they're just. I love. I don't think you ever really get to see what they actually look like. You just see Olivia's persona, I think,
Right.
which is cute. When she's the turtle Vellumental and she has her little pom pom.
That's right.
It's so charming. But there's a part in
Oh,
there where, if this isn't a spoiler, it's just when we're talking about like how characters sound. Not Shy Guy. I'm drawing a blank. It's the other ones that look like Shy Guys.
oh, the
Snoots,
sniffets.
Snippets. Thank you. Just you play a game show and the host makes this noise that I don't care how many times I heard it. I started laughing out loud. Just in the middle of the living room.
Oh yeah, I mean that game had me laughing so hard at some points. You probably appreciated the one where the toad was trying to climb the wall, and he's like, "I don't know if I have enough stamina, but thank God it's not raining." I was like,
That
"That
was
is
so
amazing."
clever. Oh, it's a
That was
beautiful
so
game.
good. Um,
I really like good writing in games. It
yeah, even like even with Bobby the Bomb, I was like, "Oh, they really." And the writing is just really strong. It's you can't say enough about it.
I really loved it, and I uh I enjoyed that part of it. But yeah, I'm like you. I The other games I felt like battle wise they were a lot stronger.
Yeah, and I mean the stories are strong as well, even in like the very first one. Um,
Yeah, the
you know,
stars.
when it comes to Paper Mario, it just you immediately think of the writing.
I know that's a strong suit, and that's not easy either. I
No, it
would
isn't.
imagine.
Yeah, because they managed to make it have like a deep story usually, but it's also like very lighthearted on the way, and it makes you laugh, and it gets you to really enjoy these characters. And um, unfortunately, that is kind of a drawback with the with Origami King, because there aren't that many characters. And
Yeah.
in the original, it's like you would go to the Toad Town, and there would be like each Toad had their own unique name that described their personality, and they had personalities. Whereas every one of these ones, it's just a Toad with a different color and a catchphrase.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and when it comes down to personality, it was like there was 3 or 4 Toads that had their own persona, and then you have like Bobby, Olivia, and Professor Toad.
You're right. You don't have the party system.
Right. And then towards the end, you get Kamek too, who, by the way, I thought Kamek was a female my whole life.
Me too. Me
So
too.
this was very surprising to me. I think we had a gender reveal party. Um,
I do like that aspect of including villains like that. I really like how the traditional villains are your friends in this game, and it's the
yes.
origami versions that are the enemies. That is really neat. I like it anytime Bowser and Mario cooperate.
Yeah. I never played any of the Mario and Luigi games, but I guess that was kind of a common theme that Bowser was teamed up with them.
I think so. My boyfriend loves that series, and I haven't played them, but he put them on my 3DS, and he's every now and then he'll look at me. Well, did you start any of those games yet? And sometimes I love how many options of games we have, but at the same time, it can feel overwhelming. Like,
Mm-hmm.
oh God, what do I play next? And what do I feel like playing? And then
Right.
I started a new book. I'm reading the Women of Brewster Place right now.
Okay.
It's really really good. It's about some black women in like the 1930s or 40s and just their life stories. I think Oprah made a movie out of it, or it's in her book club, I think.
Okay.
So that's another thing. It's like, okay, do I feel like reading right now? Do I want to play a game?
Yeah. Sometimes you just don't know what to do.
Well, how do you feel about doing Pow Block the 2 times that you've done it? And I know that is that a new experience for you?
Yeah. It was really fun. I think the guys on Pow Block, they just really have a good balance and a good flow.
Hmm.
So those are really fun. I really enjoyed doing that.
I can't wait to listen to the episode that you were on with David Lasby.
Yeah, I was a little bit low energy after my weekend away, but
It
Ed
happens.
always backs you up on the energy aspect. So
Oh, for sure. There are definitely weeks where it's like, oh gosh, guys, I am running on empty right now.
yeah, it's fun though. So I'm excited to do it again, and it's you know basically the short time I've been working with these guys at Boss Rush, it's been really just an overall good experience.
Yeah, same for me. They reached out to me randomly in June when they found out I was with another Zelda podcast. They were like, "Well, do you like other Nintendo stuff?" And I was like, "Do I like other Nintendo stuff?" Yeah, and I've been enjoying that because I love Zelda and I love the focus with another Zelda podcast. But I also like I really like these 1v1s. I freelanced for a local magazine for 3 years, and I would get to interview people, and I think everybody has a story.
Yeah. Yeah, and it seems like you've been able to branch out a little bit, obviously, because it's not focused on one genre of game. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, your 1v1s have been really cool to listen to because it seems like you tend to keep the conversation going and you know, bring bring people to just speak a little more and bring a little more out of a person than what you can see basically just online. So
Yeah.
those have been actually probably my favorite podcasts on the Boss Rush so far.
Aren't they fun? I think like I if I could, I would stop everybody I see on the street and ask them, "Can I talk to you? Can I interview you about your life, please?"
Yeah, yeah. So um, those are great, and I'm happy to be on this one too. So thanks for having me.
Oh, no, it's our pleasure, and it's so fun to hear about your hobbies and your endeavors. Do you have any projects you're working on right now that you'd like to share that you haven't shared already?
No, nothing that I really want to share because I don't trust myself to finish anything just yet.
Oh, kind of like don't tell everybody about your book before it's written.
Yeah, before when it's still just an idea.
Yeah. Well, we have to talk about food. Is there anything you've been enjoying lately or anything that you tried recently that you'd like to share?
Um, no, food isn't my strong suit.
That's okay. That's
You
okay.
know, I'm pretty boring. I got a grill a couple months ago, so that's been exciting. So I've been doing a lot of grilled foods. But you know, aside from just making rubs and stuff like that for steak and chicken, no, nothing exciting.
That sounds exciting to me. I like is it stuff you make yourself with just ingredients that you find or you look them up?
Yeah, I mean, you take a bunch of spices that work well together, throw it in a bag, and then put it on your steak or chicken.
That sounds so good. I love steak. Now, how do you like your steak?
Medium rare. Yeah.
That's a good answer. I'm just picking. I'm just picking. I'm not an elitist when it comes to steak. I like mine rare, but when I was little, I used to eat it well done because I was terrified of E. coli.
Jeez. Yeah, I don't know. I can't eat it higher than medium. No way.
Mm-mm. Like, if y'all are listening, please try it those ways. If you're nervous, I promise it's worth it.
I'd say start with medium rare, then make your way to rare.
Yeah, I get weird, not weird looks, but people look at me like, "Oh, it's a woman getting rare." It's like, I guess, like it's food. Well, Daniel, is there anything else you'd like to share with everybody?
Not really. I think we've kind of covered it all and more. So, um, yeah, it was, like I said, it was a lot of fun. It was good to just get the conversation rolling and talking about things that interest me and um, just, it's stuff I haven't really talked about before. So it was fun to throw it all out there in, one sit down.
Yeah, this was a lot of fun. And where can people find you if they want to exchange those sweet, sweet Mario Maker codes?
On Twitter, I'm at DCDM99.
Awesome. And we look forward to you being involved with other Boss Rush stuff as you can. It's very laid back. I know with work and everything, it can be hard
Yeah.
to find time to do stuff you enjoy.
Yeah,
But
yeah. Man, Corey does a lot. He does a good job. I'm impressed seeing all the stuff he does. I do not think I could do that.
and he's always so nice. Like, you're always such in a good mood. You're so nice.
So nice and so patient.
Yes. Well, guys, you can find us on Boss Rush Games pretty much wherever you listen to podcasts, and find us on Twitter. And we live stream the different shows that we have every week. We even have PlayStation ones and Xbox ones and a Destiny one. So check those out. But thank you so much again, Dan. I really appreciate your taking the time to let people get to know you.
All right. Thanks so much. And I'm sure we'll be talking on one of these again soon.
Yes. Well, all right, guys. Until next time. Bye, guys.
Bye.